So today we're going to talk about homeschooling philosophies, kind of our guiding philosophy for the homeschooling that I'm doing here. Qualities, principles, practices that guide how I am processing and thinking about homeschooling, and that is through a classical and Charlotte Mason perspective. And I'll talk about those two things and kind of our source texts for those philosophies, right? So whatever resonates with you and aligns with your talents as a homeschool parent, what really resonates with you that you can then pass on to your kids, because it's going to be most beneficial if you're excited about the homeschooling experience and if your kids see that you're engaged and you do that well. So having an underlying homeschooling philosophy that aligns with your perspective, your point of view, and how you think about education, you're going to be more excited about it, and that's going to benefit your kids as opposed to trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Oh, this is the right way to homeschool, and you just try to be very prescriptive and apply that standard or philosophy to your homeschooling experience. And if it doesn't align with your perspectives and your values, then it's not going to be as beneficial perhaps for your children if you are not as excited about schooling them as you could be. So homeschooling philosophy, we are in the classical Charlotte Mason space. So I really value the structure and intensity, like the classical conversations co-op that we're participating in. I also love the Charlotte Mason value, or rather habit-based teaching, literature incorporated in the instruction, the literature-based instruction that Ambleside Online incorporates. So we're kind of landing in this classical and Charlotte Mason space. So let's define a couple of terms in the way that I understand them, and then we'll talk about specific programs that have supported that homeschooling philosophy for me. So classical education, classical homeschooling, this is, in my perspective, is the neoclassical, the new classical cycles of instruction in different stages. The grammar stage, which it aligns more with the elementary years. Then you've got your logic stage, which is more in that middle ground, that middle school arena. And then your rhetoric stage, which is high school, later, your later schooling. Classical, in my perspective, is more Greek and Roman. So you've got incorporation of Latin, and it is more Western in thought. Now with Charlotte Mason is another approach that's pretty popular in homeschool spaces, and you're using literature, incorporating ideas more than rote memorization. I enjoy reading Charlotte Mason's writing. So in her home education series, there are several books. I don't have any handy at the moment, but I like learning from her. She is a believer, and I really valued reading her writing. So I like that continuing education, like professional development approach. Classical and Charlotte Mason are the two most influential homeschooling philosophies that inform how I'm thinking about homeschooling right now. In my perspective, Charlotte Mason is a lot more holistic than classical. She incorporates like habits into her writing. She has a couple of lists, like what kids should know by the time that they're 6, and what you're working towards by age 12. One distinction: Charlotte Mason supports early foreign education instruction and says that you could start Latin later. So that contrasts with our foundations curriculum in classical conversations, because we are doing some Latin memory work right now and not foreign language. But I am particularly drawn to early foreign language instruction, Spanish and French for our kiddos, and I like a philosophy that supports that. Classical and Charlotte Mason are the two philosophies, and we are then using curricula that support those or are more aligned with those philosophies. So first, I'll talk about foundations. So we are in a classical conversations community, and foundations is the program that we're in right now. So whenever you join a community, you step into whatever cycle they're on, cycle 1, 2, or 3. You start at age 4, which is when my kiddo started. Then they'll go through it twice before they move on to the next curriculum, which is essentials. Memory work is kind of the main component of the curriculum. So you're going through memory work each week. So memory work is foundational to foundations. You're going through memory work that is in the subjects of, here we go, math, Latin, science, English, timeline, history, and geography. And then there are some hands-on things that you do, an art cycle, you're doing science every week, and those are more hands-on. But your memory work is in geography, history, English, timeline, science, Latin, and math. That is more of a classical philosophy of having memorization, rote memorization, that is not encapsulated by a particular idea. So Charlotte Mason is more idea focused, and then you have a collection of memory work, or you have memory work that further supports and aligns maybe with that idea. So less memory work for memory work's sake. Here we're doing memory work for memory work's sake, and I really like it because the kids are really thriving in working on memorization. It's building their memorization skills. It's highly structured and academic, and they start young. I have appreciated The Well-Trained Mind by Jessie Wise and Susan Wise Bauer. I would suggest this if you're just interested in how much time should I be spending with my kindergartner. I have found this to be a great resource. Also talks about different curriculum. This has been a great resource. It is classical, and I find it to be a rigorous curriculum. Here is what they're suggesting for kindergarten, how much time to be spending. It's a great resource for that. For building that initial, what is my homeschooling? What does my homeschool look like? And that's a rigorous classical resource. Finally, and one I'm pretty excited about, starting in the fall, starting to incorporate Ambleside Online. So Ambleside Online is a free Charlotte Mason based resource online that has curriculum schedules using books. And those books are broken down, and I'll show you the schedule. Those books are broken down across subjects, and then you get to choose the curricula that you use for math, handwriting, copywork, phonics, reading, foreign language, physical activity, recitation, and they have weekly work here. And I can link Ambleside Online in the description box below. A breakdown of the text here, the Burgess Bird Book, Paddle to Sea, James Harriet's Treasury. Then they have literature and tales, so Aesop's Fables, Parables of Nature, Just So Stories in the Blue Fairy Book, and Shakespeare. And then poetry is at the bottom. Narration is a big part of the Charlotte Mason method and Ambleside. So all of those readings on that front page of that schedule, the student is narrating back to you. So you're reading aloud to them till they're able to read themselves, proficiently enough to read them, but you're reading aloud to them, and then they're narrating it back to you. And that helps in the understanding piece. So those are the 3 guiding curricula that we're using: Foundations, A Well-Trained Mind, and Ambleside Online. Pieces of that Charlotte Mason method and the classical and neoclassical method that we're going with for our homeschooling philosophy to have a solid homeschooling philosophy undergirding what we do. And literature-based instruction is very exciting, and that's how we're going through and kind of combining and pulling out what works for us from the classical and the Charlotte Mason method. And then now I'm going through and pulling out those subjects and seeing, okay, what curricula are we using to fulfill those subjects? Hopefully this is helpful. Give it a like or comment below. Cheers.